Hello friends, this is Dave at Dave's Raised Bed Garden. I'm out here in the garden today. I actually just released a video that I put on my YouTube channel. I also shared it on TikTok and then also on my Facebook page about what I've been doing in the month of February. Month of February is very critical for me in my garden. Well, this is a time where I come out here in the garden. I make sure that I come through, which I've already done this past weekend. I come and I try to revive or bring the dirt back. I more or less will hoe it over. I don't have a tiller in these raised beds. I have a long fork rake, and what I do is I will amend my soil. I will turn it over, get it ready and everything. Actually, tomorrow we're supposed to get a full day of rain. I don't know if it's going to be a steady rain or off and on, but I do know the weather app that I use says we're going to get 100% chance of rain tomorrow. So this is a good time that what I've been doing is amending the soil, pulling the old crops that I had in there. And if you remember, I said that I leave it over the winter to let it lay dormant and everything. And what I want to do is try to add back to as much nutrients as I can to my soil. A key thing to remember is, especially when you're doing the type of gardening I do in the raised beds, some people do, some people don't. For vegetable gardening is that you want to know what the pH is. The pH is more a little bit, you can have alkaline or acidic. There are certain fruits, a lot of fruits in fact, like the soil to be more acidic. They're acid loving fruits, so you want to make sure that your soil, especially like your raspberries, your blackberries, your blueberries and so forth, and even your orchard, you want to make sure that your soil is more acidic. There are some vegetables that are more acidic. Tomatoes, for one, is acid-loving type of a vegetable or fruit. So when you're planting your vegetables and everything, your key to remember is to understand that what the type of soil that you have. The reason I check these beds out is that because these are raised beds. Now, for vegetables, on the average, that you want your pH to be between 6.0 to 7, so between a 6 and a 7. But to understand what you have, all you need to do is go out and get you a little, this is called a pH meter. This is actually one that I have purchased off of Amazon. And what I do is I put it in my soil and I'll leave it in my soil. The wind's kind of getting my camera, but I will actually put it in my soil for about 5 to 10 minutes. I won't go over 15 or 20 minutes. But anyway, it gives me a good reading. A pH normally with the soil, if you do traditional gardening, if you do any gardening at most types, your soil is going to get its nutrients in there, because from the plants that you've had in there, from Mother Nature and everything that we have, from leaves and other things that get into your garden beds, and then turning it over, it's going to give that pH. So we want to make sure that we put some natural amendments back into it. Like I said, leaf mulch. You can put pine needles and everything if you're dealing it to make it more acidic. But by adding compost, vegetables, by adding natural things, grass clippings and so forth, what it's going to do is that it's going to give you a good balance. I want to be able to make sure that my soil in my beds are what I need to be to have a good and a profitable vegetable garden. And one thing that I use is that this is called a pH meter. This is a wet to dry. It tells me my moisture and it also tells me my pH. So basically what I do is I put it in the beds and I'll let it sit there. And I'm going to give you an example of that. And then I'm going to tell you what I do and what I've been doing. This started this year, and I've done some research and I'm adding, and it's something that a lot of people do around my region. They really enjoy that they do this and they spend time with family. But this little amendment or this little additive that you can add to your soil will help it, and it also help to be, if you need it to be more acid loving or more acidic in your soil, just by adding this one thing. So let me show you what I do to be able to check my pH. I'm putting this pH meter, and what I'm doing is I'm going to put it on the soil. What I'll do is I'll leave it in here for about 5 to 10 minutes just to give you a pH reading. All right, so we've had it in the bed for a few minutes. I'm actually going to try to get my camera to go in until I get it there. You can see the red part is actually where the pH is. And you can see on the pH that I am close to 7. Now remember, I said in vegetable gardening is that what I want to do is I want to, between 6 and 7 is good for the vegetables. If I want it to be more acidic, I'm going to need it to go lower, down on the lower end, about a 4 or 5, to make the soil more acid. So let's go over to the tomato bed. Over at the tomato bed, this bed I like to use for my tomatoes. For the past, since 2018, this soil has always been used for tomatoes. Now, because it's been sitting dormant and everything over the winter time, let's take a look. So I am over 6, about 6.5. It's a little bit lower because, like I said, this bed has been used soily, whatever, tomato. But anyway, this bed has been mainly used for growing tomatoes. So what do I want to do to help bring it to becoming more? I'm actually outside of the garden right now, and I just showed you my pH meter into my garden bed that I grow my tomatoes. And I was telling you the things that you can do, and just a natural thing that you can add to a garden bed that will actually help it to become more acidic is something that we did this past year. We had some trees to come down, and we had to take a tree down and everything. And what we did is we had a big pile of wood, and then we actually burned that brush. I bought these 2 cans. I actually bought them at Tractor Supply. They have the lids and everything. And basically what I did is I came out and I actually put, see, these are locked on, is that I've actually have wood ash that I've had here over the winter time. What I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to take some of this wood ash, and I'm actually going to take it and put it on my bed. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to come and I'm going to take some of this ash and I'm going to put it in this bed. This bed is actually a 4x8 bed. For 1,000 square feet, you do not want to go over like 10 to 15 pounds. That's the most you would want to do. So that's a large area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle it over here on this bed, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to till it up, and then I'm going to let it sit. When I let it sit is that I've got the rain coming in tomorrow and everything, and what I'm going to do is try to add to it. I will come back like in 4 or 5 days or so, and I'll check the pH again to see if I brought it down. There is a benefit to having the raised bed because each bed I can plant different things. And what I do like to do is that with my beds, I like to do companion gardening. Very simply is that in my beds, I want to make sure the pH, number one, is at an adequate level to where I can do my vegetable gardening. And then second of all, for these fruits or these vegetables that are more acid loving, I want to bring that pH down. The 6 to 7 is what we're looking for a vegetable garden. But when we're dealing with the acid loving, we want to bring it down. So bringing it down to a 5.5 or even close on the lower end of 6 is actually, I'm still going to get that fruit to grow. But because where I went more out of that plant or more out of that, I want to bring in that soil down to give it more acid loving plants to help those plants grow. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some of this, not all, about 1/4 of the can. This can is full. And I'm going to sprinkle it on this bed, and I'm going to till it up, and then I'm going to leave it. A little tip to you and understanding what to do to make sure to know whether your soil is adequate to where you're looking at for your vegetable garden or even your fruit. Till next time, this is Dave at Dave's Raised Bed Garden. Keep planting, keep growing. God bless you, and take care.